The Nigerian healthcare system will begin to wear a new look as a major investment deal is coming to the country through the establishment of the Africa Medical Center for Excellence, AMCE. Mr. Brian Diva, the Chief Executive Officer, AMCE, in conversation with Honorable Dr. Abike Dabire Arawa, Chairman CEO Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM, and her team, said that the project is a world-class medical service hub aimed at an efficient and effective healthcare delivery in Nigeria, especially in cancer and cardiovascular-related treatments. Details shortly. And the Association of Nigerian Physicians in the Americas, ANPA, has health tips for your health benefits. And of course, we do not forget our diaspora of the moment. This is your favorite show, The Diaspora, and I am your anchor, Koinsola Adetumbi. Please stay. Now let's begin with Mr. Brian Diva, who believes that the African Medical Center for Excellence will reverse the flow of external medical tourism, which is estimated at $6 and $7 billion annually.
As we look to bring back all of the talented and educated and experienced doctors and nurses around the world, in the US, London, and other places, to bring them home and to help us as we seek to treat Nigeria as well as the West African sub-region in the areas of cancer, cardiovascular disease, and hematological diseases. Nigeria is fortunate to have many very good hospitals that are general in nature. We have chosen to invest in a very large hospital, ultimately 500 beds, that will focus on what we saw as gaps in the care, and that is specifically in cancer and cardiovascular disease. The beauty of this is not only during construction will we be creating jobs, and by the way, we've been in construction for a year now, and we will invite you to come out and see the site and the great work that is being done. But not only will the jobs be added during the construction phase, which will continue because of the size of the project for the next 2 years, but then afterwards, as we prepare for opening and after opening, we will be adding literally thousands of jobs to the area. So we desperately need your help. We want to partner with you as we seek to get the message out to all of the excellent, skilled, educated Nigerians that are out throughout the world, to bring them home and to participate in this great project. Yes.
Thank you.
Dr. Aisha Umar, the Chief Medical Officer of AMCE, stated that the group has been enthusiastic in partnering with Africa in healthcare with the pilot business in Abuja, Nigeria, in the next 2 years.
If we partner with NIDCOM, we would be able to not just take the message out that there's an organization that is here to help healthcare workers who are seeking fortunes outside to stay in Nigeria, but also to bring back those who are already outside. So that's the main reason why we're here, and I'm sure we would be able to get the help we need to take the message out and to tell Nigerians that the Africa Medical Center of Excellence is going to collaborate not just with King's College, London, but other healthcare institutions in Nigeria, and we would also be involved in training and research.
What we were discussing until now is that in order for initiatives like these to come and to flourish here in Nigeria, we need to work together, development partners, federal government institutions, NIDCOM at the center of all of this, to create corridors so that initiatives like these can appear not just one by one or periodically, but in a systematic manner. And I think this is the dimensions that we discussed with Madam Chairperson, and this is where we'll continue working in the future. capitalizing on the initiatives that are coming from here, but also on some of the good practices that other countries have went through, some of the good examples that can be localized, can be adapted here, and that I know the federal government and Madam Chairwoman is very much open to implement here, so that initiatives like yours can receive support, the necessary support, and that we can bring the diaspora as one of the elements of the development of the country. And of course, it is extremely important to bring the Nigerians back home, especially those who can bring back their knowledge, their skills, their connections, their networks, and very often even the money in order to open businesses here. But it's also, them coming back home is, of course, the final objective. But in the beginning, we have to create the corridors so that at least, even by staying there, they can still send their knowledge. They can still contribute. Because very often, by being there, they can contribute more than just by returning, right? But in terms of the medical personnel, of course, this is something that the country desperately needs. And this is something that the country knows how to prepare, now knows how to grow. So I very much welcome an initiative like yours. And I commit from the IOM side to continue working with NITCOM, but also to work with you in order to support this initiative, bring them to a systemic level. Thank you very much.
An elated chairman CEO of the commission stated that this deal, if fully implemented, will not only revamp the current situation of Nigeria's health sector, but will change Nigeria to a medical tourist site for West Africa and Africa generally.
We are ready to work with you. We'll hit the ground running with you. You can count on our partnership. You can count on everything we can do to make it success. And it's particularly important because we're talking about the medical field. I mean, I'm sure you've heard all the stories. We're not happy about the fact that a lot of our medical personnel are leaving, but you know what makes me happy? They are leaving. Despite the circumstances, they are still some of the best wherever they go to. So those that are leaving to the UK, to Canada, get there and they excel. They wouldn't do that if the foundation was not right. I'm not sure if the foundation is as it should be. It needs to get better. We don't want breaks in studies and all that. We know we have to do better, but they are Nigerians and they are doing very well. And the beauty of this is, just as they are doing, they are still going to come back and be the ones to work in this African Center of Excellence. We should be proud of who we are as a people and the talent and brains that we have. Now, what we are trying to do is what we're going to do with you. How do we harness all this to the benefit of our own home country? So I'm proud of our brothers and sisters everywhere. They just need a better environment, and it's being created by government. And I'm sure in the next few years, we'll have positive stories to tell, particularly in the health sector. I think even before you're coming, we must say we have about 10 hospitals that have been built, and there are Nigerians in the diaspora. Right here in Abuja, we have maybe about 5. They're coming to build these hospitals, populate them, and then they come from time to time, spend a few months, go back, consult and all that. So really, I'm sure that when we move on, we're going to be a destination for medical tourism, not to be going abroad, because we have everything. We have the people, we have the personnel, we have the population. So I'm hoping that the African Center of Excellence will be the game changer, so to speak. Because I've heard about the hospital, I'm glad that we're receiving you today. So from the next visit will come to see what you're doing at the center. We'll come and visit and then work with you, and then we'll pass the message to our diasporan doctors. Good enough, they have very strong associations. In the US, Canada, UK, and here in Africa, they have very strong associations. So working with them will be very, very easy for you. And a lot of them are already doing things back home. As you know, Dr. Aisha, dispassionately. They give back a lot, medical missions. They come all the time, use their resources. So it will be nice to have an environment they will really come and work in. But as we do that again, we shouldn't forget those in the communities, villages. What we learned from India is as they do this, part of the profit they make goes to serving the poorest of the poor. So I hope you put that in mind as you do this. There's an eye hospital here set up by the Indians. They do that. When you go there, there's a section for the below average Nigerians where they get, some kind of free Medicare. So I thank you for choosing Nigeria to have this center of excellence for the African continent, and I know you'll not regret it. By the grace of God, you'll not regret it. And we look forward to, just working with you, talking to our diaspora doctors and medical personnel, and really, I'm proud to say, and I think, I'll say with all authority that we will be the center of destination for medical tourism and not go all over the world to treat ourselves.
The purpose of which, again, was to bring much needed world-class cancer, cardiovascular, and hematological treatment and diagnosis here to the area. And this is the first. This is the first of several hospitals that will be built around the African continent. And you said it best, referring to medical tourism. The goal here is not just to stop the outflow, which accounts for about $6 to $7 billion a year just in the West African subregion. We not only want to stop that from happening, we want to reverse the flow so that this becomes, as you said, a destination for healthcare. And so as we begin to see our Nigerian people stay at home for their care, we anticipate seeing many from other countries seeking out care here because of the expertise and the technology. Yes.
Thank you. And this is our Diaspora magazine. We try to talk about the best of Nigeria. We're not a nation of drug stars or 419ers. We have the best in the world, as you of course know. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Many thanks to all members of the Diaspora medical team and to Mama Diaspora for all you do. And now let's take a short break with Boya Linko leading.
Ha! Not so fast. Look, I'm tired. I want to check out of this country for greener pastures.
Just calm down for a moment. Please sit down.
Do you have a job where you're going to? No, but someone is arranging,
Listen, Alinko. Checking out of this country without proper planning means one thing. Unimaginable begin. I've been in the diaspora, but legitimately doing great things at home and abroad. As I've been saying, without the proper footing abroad, the risk is not worth it. Listen, Alinko, it's better to be home than be trapped abroad, or even end up in prison.
Welcome back. If you must travel, travel legitimately. Now to our health segment with Anpa with some health tips. Enjoy.
I am the chairman of Advocacy Committee with the Association of Nigerian Physicians in the Americas, AMPA for short. Our topic of discussion today will be hypertension, which we call high blood pressure on the streets. High blood pressure or hypertension is one of the trio of health conditions we call the silent killers. We have diabetes mellitus, we have hyperlipidemia, and we have hypertension. We call them silent because they don't have dramatic signs and symptoms that will alert you and then you run to the doctor. They can fly under the radar for a long time, and before you know it, by the time they get over water, someone is already too sick or dead. So the plan here is to be ahead of the game or play catch up to a degree where we can have a good impact. Why we are more particular about this is because hypertension and these three diseases are high in black people, people of African origin and African descent. There are factors that affect blood pressure. You have the adjustable factors and the non-adjustable factors. The non-adjustable factors are the things we were born with. We can't do much about it. One is age. As you grow older, your chances of hypertension gets bigger. Two is genetics. If your parents have high blood pressure, there's a very big chance you're going to have it as you get older. So once you have those history, you have a history of a parent that had high blood pressure or died from cardiac conditions, it's very, very imperative that you start checking your blood pressure early. Then we go to the adjustable factors, which are factors that we can influence, and this is where the rubber meets the road, which is where we can make an impact. This is where we can have an influence. And I'm not going to go into all of them. We'll just narrow them down to diet and lifestyle. diet and lifestyle. Diet, paramount in diet is salt intake, oil intake, frying of our foods. We should do as much as possible to avoid table salts or lower the consumption of salts. Where salt goes, water goes, and where water goes, the pressure goes up. It's simple physics. So as our salt intake increases, our chances of high blood pressure increases. If we're already hypertensive, then the blood pressure goes up and control becomes more harder. So that's why we have to watch our salt intake. Then go to oil and frying of our foods. Frying of our foods gives us a lot of both saturated and unsaturated fat, and all these go to clog our vessels and increase our chances of having hyperlipidemia and high blood pressure. Now, the big one is lifestyle change. In lifestyle change, there's the big buzz there is smoking and lack of exercise. Smoking, lack of exercise. If you're a smoker, cut it down. If you haven't started, don't start. So, if control smoking causes damage inside the walls of the vessels, and these damages attract chemical agents that help to narrow the blood vessels, and these damages also can predispose us to heart attack and a myocardial infarction. Now, lack of exercise. The more active we are, the more malleable our blood vessels are, and the harder it is for the blood pressure to go up. I know most of us are in 9 to 5 jobs. If we can squeeze in some time to exercise every day, even if it is 30 minutes brisk walking every day, that would help. Another point there is regular contact and visit to your doctor. We don't have a good primary health care culture in Nigeria. We only go to the hospital when it is emergency and drama. So if we can inculcate that culture of seeing our doctor periodically and doing what they say, that's very important. It's cheaper, but less dramatic. So that will be important. And then we go to factors where we can have influence. Awareness. This is why we're here. If we create more awareness about these diseases, our chances of intervening with positive outcome is higher. That is one. Early detection. If we check our blood pressure as early as possible, at least starting from the age of 30 for people that don't have the history. If you have the history, I'll advise you start from something like 25 or even in your earlier 20s and start checking your blood pressure. We've talked about lifestyle, smoking, and just exercise. Now, one part where we can have some influence, if it is possible to do, is if we can fit blood pressure checking points at every mosque and every church. This is where more people congregate, and this is where we can have an impact. If you know you're hypertensive already, you don't have the money. If these churches have blood pressure checking points, at least you go there every Sunday, to say the least. Or sometimes people go 3 times. You can check your blood pressure there. Something is better than nothing. So if you check your blood pressure, write it down, and make sure when you go to see your doctor, you take it, and then he can adjust your care as you go along. We can always talk more on these issues, a lot more, but our time is limited, and we'll keep it here for now. Hopefully we hear back from you, and any questions you have, we'll do our best to address them. Thank you.
Thank you, Anpa. And now to our diaspora of the moment with Shalewa Ajila presenting.
Our diaspora of the moment is Dr. Ijeoma Akunyili. Dr. Ijeoma is a Nigerian-American based medical practitioner. She is the first daughter of the late Dora Akunyili, former Director General of National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, and the ex-Minister of Information. She graduated summa cum laude from the University of Pennsylvania and attended the University of Maryland School of Medicine. She completed her emergency medicine residency at the McGovern Medical School at UT Health Houston. Dr. Ijeoma earned an MPA in International Development from the John F. Kennedy School of Government at Harvard University and an MBA from the Wharton School of Business at the University of Pennsylvania. She is now the first African-American medical professional to serve in that role. Dr. Ijeoma has vast leadership and advocacy experience and is currently serving as the president of the Connecticut College of Emergency Physicians. Before her recent appointment, she served for several years on the board of directors of Texas and Connecticut Colleges of Emergency Physicians. She was an assistant professor of emergency medicine at Baylor College of Medicine, Houston, Texas, and she is currently a clinical assistant professor of medicine at Yale University. Recently, Dr. Ijeoma made history after being named the new chief medical officer at the Jersey City Medical Center in the United States of America. Congratulations, Dr. Ijeoma. We celebrate you as our diaspora of the moment.
There is going to be a process and a work in progress through the incoming and successive administrations starting now. I'm so happy with the youth's awakening, its movement and involvement in politics like never before. If they keep this momentum going forward, irrespective of political party, then our politicians will be met with rude awakening. Those of us in the diaspora should continue to support our country and be proud of it, no matter the situation. We have no other country of birth than Nigeria. I am a U.S. citizen, but my country of birth is Nigeria, as it is written in my U.S. international passport. I commend the Nigerian diaspora for their enormous financial and human capital and capacity contribution through this period of economic downturns. Like I said earlier and always say, Nigeria diaspora is the biggest employer of labor due to tens of billions in US dollars that it remits home annually. Unfortunately, the outgoing National Assembly denied its right as citizens of Nigeria to vote and be voted for from their diaspora bases. We sincerely hope that incoming lawmakers will see the need to remedy that denial.
I hope you did enjoy today's episode of your favorite program, The Diaspora. Do stick with us this time next week for another exciting episode. And I remain your host, Koinsola Adetumbi. Bye for now.